In this video, we will be discussing how you can act instead of react during a verbal dispute. Have you ever watched a marionette show or seen a ventriloquist perform before? If so, think about the marionette puppet for a minute. Once the performance begins, it appears to come to life, but in reality, it is only reacting to its master's movements. When the ventriloquist has a conversation with their figure, it appears that the figure has its own personality, but in reality, the ventriloquist controls everything the figure does, including what it says and how it moves and reacts. This is going to hurt a little. Okay, maybe a lot. But most of us react to others and we allow them to control us, just like the puppet master or the ventriloquist does with their figures. You say, "No one controls me. I'm in control of myself." Then why is it you become angry when someone says something about you and you're ready to fight? I'll even take it a step further and ask, why do you get angry and want to fight when someone says something that is not true? The reason is because you feel disrespected. Should you feel angry if someone says something about you that isn't true? Yes, you should. You are human and no one wants to be lied about. However, that doesn't mean that you have to show your anger or respond to that person in kind. This quote can be found in Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. This proverb emphasizes the idea that responding to anger or conflict with a gentle and calm response is more likely to de-escalate the situation and prevent further anger or strife. It encourages people to choose their words and tone carefully when faced with a confrontation or an angry individual. When we feel we have been disrespected, we immediately want to defend ourselves. If someone curses at us, we want to curse back. That is reacting, and when we react, we have allowed someone to control us, and we are just like that puppet that has had its strings pulled. Reacting is easy, but it is not beneficial. Unfortunately, many people only know how to react. What I'm going to talk about today is how to act when you have been disrespected. Being disrespected is not a matter of if it will happen, but rather when it will happen. If there is one thing that I can promise you in this life, it will be that in the future, someone, somewhere in your life is going to say something about you that is not true. Write it down and take it to the bank. Since you know this type of event is going to happen, you can plan how you are going to act when it does occur. This puts you in control instead of the other person. Not only will it allow you to be in control of your emotions, others who are witness to or hear about the confrontation will have a higher opinion of you. Here's the good news and the bad news. The good news is that you are not responsible for someone else's attitudes, actions, or words. The bad news is that you are responsible for your attitudes, actions, words, and how you act or react to that other person. Here are some responses you can use to stay in control of yourself. Let's start with one of the most difficult things to do. That is to agree with what the other person says. I can hear some heads exploding right now. Agree with a lie that someone is saying about me? Yep. This is reserved for situations when what someone says is so outrageous that everyone knows it is a lie. For example, during a debate that had lasted for several minutes, the other person became angry and called me, excuse the language, a crazy-ass white man. I think you would agree that is a provocative statement. However, I responded by saying, "Yes, I can see how you would say that." I then walked off and continue to live my life. Some of you are saying, I couldn't do that. And I'm asking, why not? Is what the other person said true? No. Well, not entirely. I am white, but I don't think I'm crazy, although that could also be up for debate. If someone wants to say something outrageous that isn't true, God bless them. I know it's not true, and anyone that really knows me also knows it is not true. Here's why I can act and not react when this type of situation occurs and stay in control of my emotion. I know that if something happens to me, the person attacking me is not going to pay my bills or take care of my wife or children. Period. End of discussion. Since I know this, why would or should I care about what that person has to say about me? I'm a person who has the ability to act and be in control of myself. I am not a marionette puppet. The question you should be asking is, what happened after I agreed with them? I'm glad you asked. When I responded in an active manner instead of a reactive one, the other person was left speechless. As a matter of fact, they had a shocked look on their face. They were looking for a fight, and I didn't give them one. They were looking to control me, but I stayed in control of myself. They came off looking foolish, while the opinion that others had of me was raised to another level. The next question you should be asking is, how was I able to not become angry and respond in a positive manner? First, just to set the record straight, I was mad. No, I was actually livid. How dare this person speak to me that way? Who do they think they are? So why didn't I react and say something like that to them? It is because I've chosen not to be controlled by people, and most importantly, I had practiced what I would say when a situation like this occurred. You'll have to come up with something that works for you, but keep it positive and don't let the other person see that you are mad. You should practice this response, so when the occasion arises, it will be automatic. You ask, but what if they say something that you can't agree with? I have a couple of responses for those situations as well. Before I use one of these responses, I'm reading the other person's body language to determine which response I use. I also see if there are others around that agree with my viewpoint. Discretion is the better part of valor, but I digress. Here are the two responses I use if I feel there are others around that agree with me. The first response is, wow, I bet you were up late last night coming up with that response. The second response is, there's nothing like a good joke. And that was nothing like a good joke. Try to end the conversation while they are still in shock. If you can't, look for a way to move on by saying something like, this has been an interesting conversation, but I need to, whatever you need to do. I want to iterate that none of these responses work 100% of the time. For your safety, you should assess the situation to see if you have some backup before you go head-to-head with an angry person that may become physically violent. I know Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens are good at confronting others, and I would encourage you to follow them on Instagram. If I think the person could become violent, then I have a go-to response that I always use, and it is, well, that is your opinion, and I obviously can't change it, so have a great day. I then move on as quickly as possible. What about the situation where someone says something unflattering about you that is true? That is a little tougher. However, I found that the best thing to do is be contrite and say something like, Unfortunately, what you're saying is true. However, I hope that I've learned from that experience and won't repeat that same mistake as I move forward with my life. Would you excuse me? I need to ... Again, this is a response that catches the other person off guard. Unfortunately, people are becoming less civil. There are many that don't want to hear your point of view, and they certainly don't want to be confused by facts. It appears that most of these individuals are more liberal, but there are also those that are of a conservative bend that are not civil toward others that disagree with them. I was taught, don't go looking for a fight, but don't run from one if it comes to you. I do caution you to use some common sense when engaging those that are operating under a mob mentality. There you have it, my fellow success seekers. Do you agree or disagree? Comment below and let me know what you think. Work on developing active responses instead of reacting to what others say. Until next time, this is Rex Reason signing off.